people. Hope everyone is good. Thank you for all the support on the previous video. You're all absolute legends, obviously. Now, in this video, I want to talk about Ethan Ampadu. Ethan Ampadu is very close to coming back. He's in full team training. He's ahead of schedule. He was on the bench. A few weeks, he'll be back. Be ready to start. Question is, will he start? If the answer is yes, which will be the discussion in this video, where will he play? Who comes out? What shape do we go with Ampadu in there? How do we look? It's a good discussion. I'm not saying this is the right thing. I'm not saying this will happen. I'm just having a discussion about what I think may happen, or what I think I'd like to see, just as a something that came in my head, and I'm just trying to figure it out. It's something that I think I'd like. But let's get straight into it. Now, this is the team right now, predominantly. Obviously, you've got the wingers, but focus on the midfield. This is the key part. 4-2-3-1, right? The four at the back, obviously. Two deep, two sixers sitting deep. Tanaka advances, Rothwell advances, sorry. And Aaronson in the 10. Solomon, Nonto, whoever out wide, Perot up top. 4-2-3-1. Things change when Ampadu comes in, and this is the key part of it. Where's he coming in? So the first scenario is Aaronson. Aaronson comes out the side. Right? Aaronson comes out. He doesn't go in at 10. What do we do this? This is a suggestion, and I'm going to give why I don't think this will happen. Or the risks of this, if this did happen. Rothwell in the 10, that is. The risks of this, if this happens, for me personally, are one, I don't think he's well suited to that role. A lot of Rothwell's good stuff, where he drives forward into space, comes from deep. Not only does it come from deep, but it comes from him facing play. A lot of Aaronson's good stuff in the 10 comes from his back to the goal, receiving from deep in high areas, with his back to goal on the half turn. I don't think Rothwell is great receiving from his back to goal. I think Rothwell's better when he's deeper, facing the pitch, facing everyone else in front of him, and driving into it and making a decision. He's not diminutive for me. He's not agile enough to play a 10 role where you're constantly in the half spaces, constantly moving around the back, finding spaces on the half turn. I don't think he's got those attributes. I don't think it would work as well as others in that perspective. Off the ball, though, naturally with Rothwell, who's a deeper player, it would be a little more compact in here. And then you've got extra defensive cover with Rothwell in there, in Ampadu, who was replacing where Rothwell would have been. So from off the ball perspective, it's good. But then also, changes into a little bit for 4-3-3. And this is what I think we'll play. Sorry. This is what I'd like us to play. If it doesn't happen, I don't care. Like I said, this is just me brainstorming from my brain, just an idea I had. Don't think it'll look like this. I think there's scope for this to happen. 1 sitting, 2 8s. And I say that because I looking at the attributes of the players. It's not a huge change in the way we play. Ampadu has always been that deep 6 for Leeds, remember. He's always played between the centre-backs, always. Always. I think that's where he'll go back. He played there all last season. He knows that role better than anyone. And, adding on that, Tanaka, who can play that role, can also play an 8. Can also play as an 8. He did it at Fortuna Düsseldorf. And he got a lot of goals and assists from doing that role. He can play higher up. And obviously the discussion here, Rothwell can also do that. He does that for Leeds currently. The reason I think this will happen is, one, because I think you can allow one back because of Ampadu's cover and how good Ampadu is at reading out these spaces where they could counter and sniffing it out, putting out fires, reading the game. So good. So good. And not only that, I think it suits the late runs of Rothwell and Tanaka. I don't like them when they're high up early. I think they're better when they're arriving later. You have to change how you approach the attacks a little bit. And this is where things we already do come into play. So what do we see a lot in attacking situations? A lot of the time we'll see this. You've got rid of the 10. There's no high up 10 in these spaces anymore. None of this. They're a little deeper, a bit more of a triangle, a bit more interplay. So what do? This is where the key part is, the wide areas. What we see a lot is this. Tanaka going in there. Bogle coming up. Rodon coming round, Strout coming round, Ampadu covering. This is what I like. This is what I want to see. Not as a lot of you pointed out. Centrally, Nonto can do it going forward. He can. In this role, you don't really have a situation where Nonto is key defensively in the central position. He can tuck forward. Adding to that, this is how we play a lot of the time. Now, what you do with 2/8s, again, not only do you have the cover Ampadu, which you'd prefer, who is better at reading the game than these two guys defensively, but you have overloads from midfield. Just to link how that could look in the future, just to use a template of the Middlesbrough players here, obviously, imagine this is any team, right? So this is kind of us right now. And for this one, of course, with Aaronson in there, which I think is what we'll start with again, before Ampadu's fit. This is really what teams do. Tanaka drops deep between the centre-backs a lot of the time. Not all of it, but a lot of the time. And we're in a situation where Rothwell's moving around these spaces, trying to kind of find a little gap. Might have to come really deep at times. Try and drag these guys out just to create some spaces for Aaronson. Maybe Nonto will come into them. Right, we've seen that, so we'll give it to Rothwell. Yeah, Aaronson occupies this guy. Finds a lot of space in there. All right, that happens. But often it can be quite difficult. And if they're really good at defending, and they're sitting really tight on Aaronson, they're watching Aaronson all the time, they're pressing really good, they're shutting off all the angles. I just feel you need like another midfielder in there, to be honest. And this is where in the future, when teams do this, this is the key part that Ampadu plays. Aaronson, as you can see, he's already in. We've done a video. He sits in these spaces a lot of the game. He will drop deep in certain situations, obviously, but he sits in these spaces. But it's sometimes difficult to get it to him in these spaces, and sometimes he's not sharp enough when he receives it in these spaces. Now, this is the difference for Ampadu. So he does this role. Tanaka is in these spaces, but higher up. Okay, or Rothwell, whoever. So instead of Rothwell being here as the 10, which people are saying, I just think what will help our build-up, especially a team that's willing to press, which Middlesbrough would, if he's just here. Now, initially, that might look like there's a big gold gap. And there is. But the key part is finding runners in that gap. That makes sense. Not hitting the gap with someone in it. Someone going into it, vacating that space, arriving into the space as opposed to being in the space. That's the key part for me. They're pressing up high. What I really like about the 2/8s, getting a little deeper, I just think it's easier for us to build up. I think there's an extra man. As opposed to him being up here and we're trying to find him earlier. Teams that press high, I just think there's an extra man. There's more spaces. There's more options. Just that extra guy in this area that you can progress. And this is where it can come to the advanced stage. If that happens, we've got our 8s that are sitting in these areas here. They're really tight. This is where it's just about little combinations. Tanaka drags him out wide. Rothwell can get it there off Ampadu. This is where Nonto comes in. Seen it before. Little spaces in here. Yeah, whatever. Whoever goes, doesn't matter. Bogle advances. Tanaka advances. Nonto gets it in these dangerous areas. Can we create a 2v1 out wide? Advancing midfielders. Same at the other side. Can we get Rothwell in these areas? Can Nonto come from wide to centrally quickly? Can we find him? And then, when we found him, can a midfield runner get in this space? Arriving into where Aaronson would be. whether that's Nonto, whether that's Rothwell, getting into the space where Aaronson would be, but arriving into it, and then overloading it and exploiting it. And if you can do that by just sitting a little deeper on the ball, you can taint these guys out, make them follow, just create gaps. Just create gaps. And if they don't want to give them gaps away, they just want to sit deep. Yeah, they've got all this, they've got one man pressing. Still the same thing. Got two man pressing. They've got two man pressing, they have to push up. Well, now these guys have got space to drive with it. Now you're in big trouble because we've got runners absolutely everywhere now. Monto's come in, Tanaka's pushing up high. You're done for. Make them come out. And with that 8, with that 10, just a little deeper in Rothwell, getting forward, but being deeper originally, I just think we can create more confusion, we can create more spaces, and we can actually advance it into this area, into this space, by just tempting them out. Of course, it's more risky because you're playing with the ball higher up, deeper in your defence. Even the fullback, we've seen Voba do it. Can the fullbacks get into these spaces? It's just a different approach as opposed to being so high first. And we've seen this a lot. They'll do this. We've seen it. They sit 3 across. And we struggle to find gaps past this 3 block they have here. Blackburn did it very well. What if we just start them out deeper? Tempt them to press. Make them come out. And this is where we can exploit whoever it is. And then, when we do exploit, this is where the midfield runner comes into it. Quick decision, boom. Get there before your marker. Ball goes into Solomon, or whoever it is. Ball goes into Rothwell. You know, it won't be Bogle, but Nonto's advanced. Bogle's pushing up. Ampadu's cover. Solomon's attacking the line. Even Boba might go attack the line. Create another overload. Just my thought. Just a little brain thing. Yeah. Now, this is the key part. This is where the movement comes in. You go right up. Nonto goes in. As soon as that happens, ball comes in. This is it. That second run, that secondary run in there. Campero take him away. Campero make that run. Just to provide a little bit of space. You know, just vacate the space and create an area for a midfield 8 and an offensive 8 to run into. You know, that's the key for me. It's all about rotation. This is kind of what we look like now. This is what it will look like. Kind of play like this. The Tanaka's already deep. There's only really... Aaronson's already in there, is my point. He's already in these spaces, which is great. But again, I just like that advanced 8 who arrives in those spaces. I love that type of stuff. Especially in a transitional game against Middlesbrough. You have to arrive in these spaces and be sharp. The key part for Middlesbrough is these 4 here. Azaz, Hackney and Conway, or Lath, whoever's going to play there. These 4 are key. Absolutely vital. They will always be close, but they will go high. They will play high. They will do this. They will play in these spaces. They don't care. They will pop up wherever they need to advance. Try will go early into Hackney, who's made a space. They'll try and exploit you. They'll create overloads. 3v2s out wide, like this. Attack your back line. They don't care. So this is the key. This guy and this guy have to be on it. And this is where I'd have just liked Tanaka and an Ampadu in this position, because Ampadu is really good at avoiding these situations. He reads the game so well. My little worry is what we've seen a little bit this season is this. This guy here. Tanaka will see him and he'll go, right, I'll mark him. And the second he does that, Finn Azaz has found the space between them. Or it'll be this. They'll just found a space out wide. We'll find him. These two are amazing. They are. But they do slightly struggle with runners that go in behind them in the spaces. Because it's not their natural way of thinking. Where's this guy going to go? They're not naturally thinking like that. So this is the key. We have to avoid the ball from here to here. Or from here, bypassing our entire midfield who have been drawn out. Low rotation, boom. Oh, not the player. Boom. This is the key part, and this is where we have to be on it. And this is where the role from Aaronson in the press, our 4 in the press. First of all, what we have to do, whoever that is, hero, cut the pitch off. Make them play down this alley. And then when they do play down this alley, this is where we've got to be ready early to advance. We've got to have our men. We've got to be man for man. Any spaces in here, we've got to cut off. Whether that'll be Aaronson or whoever. Cut these lines. And then if it does beat us, boom, we're in there. If they try one in behind, Finners makes that run, tries a central overload. They want to play in behind. Again, these two have to speak and talk. There's got to be cover. Rodon's got to cover Bogle. Spurzorg will go beyond. Communication is huge. These are a good transitional team. It's going to be different. It's going to be dangerous. I wish Ampadu was fully fit for this one. Because if he was, I'd have played on what we spoke about before. Because he has that defensive cover. Positionally, he doesn't let people behind him. He knows where they are at all times. He's so smart reading the game defensively. He knows exactly what those players beyond him are doing. He knows where they are. Cuts the spaces off. Tanaka and Rothwell slightly struggle at doing that. Hey, let me know what you guys think. I'm looking forward to this game. It's actually something to talk about. It's going to be a good tactical battle. It's going to be a dangerous game, but I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye-bye.